Joseph Kosinski, you sick son of a bitch, you did it again. Welcome back to my channel at The Movie Optimist, where I try and find the silver linings in even the worst of films. Tonight, I just got done watching the newest movie, F1, starring Brad Pitt, directed by Joseph Kosinski, and produced by Jerry Bruckheimer. Now, guys, there's something about certain directors, when you give them a certain script that fits a genre that they're really good at, it just sings. If you want a movie that requires you to tackle time and heists really well, Nolan's your guy. If you want a guy that could handle a scene of two men sitting in a room talking to each other and make it as thrilling as possible, even though there's no action going on, give it to Quentin Tarantino. He's the king of dialogue. If you want a movie that's going to excel and fire on all cylinders about things going fast, you give it to Joseph Kosinski, because this guy gets it. If you put Joseph Kosinski in the director's chair for a movie about going fast in a type of vehicle, it is going to print gold, because this movie is just insane. Now, for those of you who don't know, Joseph Kosinski also directed Top Gun, and he brings his visceral directing from that movie to this one. Now, is it the Schindler's List of scripts for race car movies? No, it's not. It is not looking to reinvent the wheel. It is a very basic story, a rags to riches, an underdog story, essentially about a man played by Brad Pitt who gets pulled back into the racing circuit of F1 by Javier Bardem, who was a former rival when they were much younger and both raced in F1. Javier Bardem owns a team called Apex, and when they find themselves in last place in the overall circuit of racing, I don't know all the terminology for it, but they're like 10 races away from the final race, and if they can't get ahead and out of last place and into first place, there is a risk that the team is going to get sold, and all of the people that work there are going to have to go out and find new jobs. And as a last-ditch effort, Javier Bardem goes out to his old friend Brad Pitt and begs him to come and help get the team in order and put them on the right track so that they don't all lose their jobs. So it's up to Brad Pitt to come in and kind of help with his experience and his incredible gift at racing to steer this team to victory. However, in trying to do so, he winds up clashing with the team's current young, up-and-coming hotshot racer who thinks he's hot shit and doesn't want to take advice from an old man. And over the course of this movie, they have to learn to work together if they are to save this team and win the final race in first place. So it's not a story that you haven't seen before. You've seen this story so many times, but you haven't seen it by Joseph Kosinski, who injects it with this raw, visceral, heart-stopping direction with the way he films all of the race scenes. They are fast, they are heart-pounding, it gets you on the edge of your seat. There were literally multiple times where I found myself unintentionally holding my breath because of how visceral the race scenes are. They put cameras in the cockpit, they put cameras on the hood of the car so that you're there with them and you feel the intensity. You feel every rock that the wheel rolls over. You feel every turn. You feel like you're there in the car and that you're a part of this race, and it just makes for such heart-stopping stuff. And at the end of the day, all of that wouldn't mean anything if you didn't care about who was in the driver's seat, and they do a really good job of making you root for Brad Pitt in this movie. And they do that with, like I said, the underdog story, where he was this once former race car driver who was almost considered the best in the world. He almost won first place, but got in a horrible accident and was robbed of his chance to finish the race in first place, and he always looked down on himself about it, and he's now given this chance to come out of retirement and prove to the world that he has what it takes even at 60 plus years old. It's the classic underdog story where no one believes in him and he has to prove everybody wrong. It's why people like movies like Rocky and Creed. It's why people love Top Gun Maverick, the old retired air pilot that's coming out to save the day. Everybody loves an underdog story because most of the people going to watch these stories are the underdogs. We all know what it's like, well, except for people that were like born into billions of dollars and don't have to work for anything in their life. For the most part, most people, guys, women, children, it doesn't matter. We know what it's like to work hard for something, and it's why we could root for these characters even though we're not in something like F1. We just relate to somebody that wants to prove people wrong that don't believe in us, and it just makes for these moments where you want to stand out of your seat and cheer. And that to me is the recipe for what makes cinema cinema. It's telling stories that we could relate to, that makes us want to leave the theater wanting to do better. It makes us want to get in our car and drive a little bit faster. Don't do that, very dangerous, but you understand what I'm saying. It makes us want to hold on 1 second longer when we see these people that we can relate to achieve the things that we want to achieve their dreams like we want to achieve ours, and it teaches us to hold on and to keep fighting. Now, is this movie as good as Top Gun Maverick? That's a question that a lot of people are throwing around, and I'll say this, although all of the racing scenes are just as engaging and just as visceral and in your face as the aerial combat scenes in Top Gun Maverick, the thing that gives Top Gun Maverick an edge over this movie is, although it is an underdog story where Tom Cruise has to prove all these young pilots wrong, that he has what it takes to be not only as good as them but better, but there's also the extra caveat of there's a lot more at risk in Top Gun Maverick where they're literally defending the United States. Like, there's a threat that if they fail, a lot of people are going to be harmed, so there's that much more pressure on them, where here the only pressure is Brad Pitt wanting to achieve his dream at winning an F1 Formula race. So there's not as much stakes, and I feel like that gives the aerial scenes in Top Gun Maverick that much more of like an edge, where like you're a little bit more on the edge of your seat because there's so much more at stake. But that's not to take away from this movie's really engaging car stuff. Look, if you just want to go to a movie and watch an underdog story like a Rocky or a Creed, this movie's going to give it to you. If you want to go and watch cars go really fast and have a really compelling story about this guy competing against a bunch of other younger hotshots to prove that he's still got what it takes, this is a movie for you. And if you just like to see things go fast, this is a movie for you because cars go fast a lot. This is a 2.5 hour movie, and about 2 hours of that you're on the racetracks watching them race around, and it is, for a movie about racing in circles, it's really intense. I don't know what other vehicle stuff Joseph Kosinski can do next, but god damn it, I hope he finds it and gives us that. Apparently they're talking about doing a Days of Thunder sequel, and Joseph Kosinski just released in an interview while he was doing press for this movie that if he was going to do a sequel to F1, he would want to do a crossover with Days of Thunder with Tom Cruise, which makes sense because Tom Cruise has been really pioneering hard for this film and showing up to support it as much as possible, so it does seem like there are talks behind the scenes of something like that actually coming to fruition. So I really hope this movie finds its audience. I know that here in America, F1 isn't as popular as it is overseas, so really I think personally that it's going to be the overseas markets that are crazy about F1. Japan, the United Kingdom, literally everywhere but here, F1 is a big fucking deal. So I really hope this movie does good, because even if we don't get a Days of Thunder crossover, I want movies like this to succeed, because the level of love that went into making this movie with the very limited green screen, putting cameras in the car and making you feel the speed, the need for speed. It's just, I love when directors want to make it feel grounded and not make it a CGI fest. And I love the underdog story, and I think it deserves a sequel. I want to see where Brad Pitt goes next. So please, if you like any of the things that I described this movie to be, show up to support this movie. I did say it was 2.5 hours, but I really never felt it. Even in the scenes where they weren't racing, they're always in like these exotic, beautiful locations where every time I wanted to get up to go to the bathroom, I was like, okay, a race just ended. The next scene, I'll go to the bathroom. And then they wind up in this nightclub that's like the most beautiful nightclub I've ever seen. And I'm like, well, I don't want to miss this. The cinematography is gorgeous. And if you don't care about cinematography and you just want to see things go fast, there's a scene that takes place in a nightclub. Nothing of importance happens there. It's like 10 minutes long. Go to the bathroom then. But yeah, guys, I'm going to give this movie a 9 out of 10. Is it the Shawshank Redemption of race car films? No, but that's not what it's going for. It's going for a very basic rags to riches underdog story with the most intense car racing you've ever seen. And on that aspect, it fucking achieved it on all levels. So anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Were you excited about this movie? Has my review swayed your opinion whether or not you want to see it this weekend? If it has, I'd love to talk about it. If you've seen it already, comment down below. Let me know what you thought about it. What did you think of Brad Pitt's performance? And what did you think of the overall directing of the races? I hope to hear from you guys down below. And as always, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll catch you next time.